I am associate professor in the chemical engineering department. And so why am I giving this particular workshop? Because I have secured several external grants. So I thought I have something to share with the students. So let's start. So, okay. So first of all, what is the grant? The grant, it is a mechanism by which it is a mechanism by which an agency or an organization awards money to fund a research, to do a project, to carry out a research, or to demonstrate a case. So first of all, it is not a gift. So there are some strings attached. So those people who will give you the money, they need something in return. So this something in return could be either just a report, or could be a publication, or could be a patent, or they to supervise PhD students. So at the end, they will have something in return. And so this is a grant. So it is the mechanism by which you will have the money to do a research. But later we will find out that it is not only to do a research. You can apply for a grant for something else, like a fellowship, or to attend a conference, or to use an equipment. So anything where you write an application to request something that will facilitate your research is called a grant. So why do you apply for a grant in the first place? Because a grant will give you money to do a research, because doing research is costly. You need money to recruit a research assistant, or to buy equipment, or to buy consumables. And in many cases, your institution or the university might not be able to give you the whole amount. So you need a source of the fund. And this is basically why you apply for a grant. So what do you get in return if you apply for a grant? You could add it to your CV. So securing a grant is the main CV item. So securing a grant, or writing in your CV that you have that you were successful in getting this grant, it is as important as having a publication, or it is. So I think it's less important than a degree, of course, but I think it is as important as publishing a paper or having a patent. So first of all, it is a main CV item. And second of all, if you have a grant, this means that your idea, or your approach, or your thinking has been acknowledged by experts in the field. And this idea, those experts find it to be worthy of public or private support. So your idea means money at the end, and those people who are normally experts acknowledge that this is a brilliant idea, so let's give the guy the money to do the research. Also for the institution or the university, external grant means prestige. So normally if they rank the university worldwide, one of the most important items, it is how much external funding the university is receiving per year. So it's very important as well for the prestige of the institution. So if the university receives the money, this means that the funder thinks the university has the brains, have the faculty member, the infrastructure, the equipment to do a research that is worthy of funding. Also, a grant means opportunity to hire research assistants, or to pay the salary of your PhD student. So grant it's important for you, and it is also important if you would like to hire someone else to help you in the research. And this could be either a postdoc, or could be a research assistant. I think in our university, most of the salaries for PhD student comes from research grants. Like unless you have a university fellowship, the full fellowship, most likely you will be funded through a grant. So that's why a grant is also important. And most importantly, the grants, like if you want to do a research, more like experimental research, most of the time it's too expensive. For example, to buy an instrument. This instrument could cost 200,000 dirham, or around this range. So that's why in many cases, the university might not be able to give you or to award you this fund. And the only way forward is to apply for an external grant. Okay, so this is the full story for the grant in short, which I will try to cover today. You have a pre-award, like before you get the money and after you get the money. So this is the life cycle of the grant in short. which will be discussing in this presentation. So, I assume that most of you are either a master or a PhD student. So if you are still a PhD student, why do you need to start applying now, for example? There are many reasons. As I mentioned before, it is a main CV item. So if you have a grant, or even if you just apply for a grant, you can add it to your CV. So you're slowly building your credential as an independent researcher, that you have your own ideas to do a research. So you build your track record of funding. So maybe if you try for the first time to get the fund, it will be very difficult sometimes because you do not have track record. You do not show your funders that you have already secured a grant. So they will have a trust or a confidence to give you another grant. So that's why it's very important to try to get a grant in the first time. And this is like if you have a venue or opportunity as a PhD student to apply for an external grant or external fellowship, then I strongly recommend that you go ahead for it, because it's very important to build your own credential. Of course, I mean, if you are doing a PhD, then I assume your plan is to have or to adapt an academic life, academic opportunity to work as a university professor. And to work as a university professor or a university lecturer, then you need to have a grant, because if you seek employment in the university, one of the most important things that they will look at is, have you secured a grant? So the grant is highly regarded as important as a high quality publications overall. So it is important for your long-range plan and for your professional growth and development in the long term. So who will give the money? Well, there are two sources for the money. If you are applying inside the institution, this is called internal grant. However, the internal grant is normally called a seed money. So seed money, so the university will give you money to prove your idea or to confirm your proof of concepts. So it's called seed. So you just want to establish a concept or to test your hypothesis, if it's correct or not, or if you have already an external grant and you just need a little bit of money to continue the project. However, internal grants are widely regarded as less prestigious and less competitive than external funding. So, for example, if you have internal grant from the university with $500,000 dirham and you secured an external grant with much less amount of money, let's say 100,000. So this 100,000 is worth more in your CV than the internal grant, because internal grant, which the university gives, it's like less competitive and less prestigious. In fact, we cannot always rely on internal grant. I think in our university we have a very generous scheme of funding, but we cannot always rely on the internal grant, because if you'd like to move up in your career, or if you'd like to apply for a position somewhere else, you need to show the new university that you are applying for that you have secured an external funding like outside your institution. So that's why it's very important to apply for external funding, not only internal funding. So we have, as I said, we have two sources of funding. We have internal grants and we have external grant. So the external grant comes from two sources. First of all, we have the private sectors. These are the companies. So in most cases, the big companies, the corporation gives money to solve problems, to solve technical problems that they are facing. For example, the company, they have this kind of pollutants, or they have issue in their IT system. So they would like, and they do not have the expertise to solve this problem. That's why they invite someone from outside the company to solve the problem. And this is normally the mechanism for granting an external grant from a company. However, like in other cases, the company so in most cases, the company is looking for a solution for a real problem that they are facing or to develop a product. For example, this company have product A, and they would like to improve it further to increase the sales. Like so, they will have a call for applications from outside the company, and normally, like researchers from universities apply for those funding opportunities from company. However, in some cases, the company just grant money out of their social responsibility to the community. Like we say that we help the university in our surrounding. We supported the research in those in local universities by providing direct funding to them. So this is the private funding, and the other source is the public sector. So what is the public sector? The public sector, it is any federal, state, county, or local unit of a government that awards grants. And this is normally the major source of external funding. It is the fund which comes from the government. So it normally accounts for most of the available funding. So normally the government or the local government have some key priorities area. Like this year, they will say we will fund a project in energy or water. I think nowadays COVID-19 is like a hot topic. So I'm sure many governmental sections may fund research into COVID-19. However, the key priorities for public funding has always been energy, water, health, transportation, IT, maybe social studies. I think so. In the United Arab Emirates, these are the major source for public funding. It is the Ministry of Education, the Advanced Technology Research Council, which has replaced ADIC, Abu Dhabi Department for Education and Knowledge, and Sunduk al-Watan. So these are the major source for public funding. So what is the major source for public and private funding? So when you write a proposal for a public funding, it's usually very complicated, very lengthy, and it takes time. So it has many sections because it's very competitive. So they would like to choose the best one to give him this money or to give her this money. However, proposals submitted for funding from a private sector, it's normally very short. The problem say we have this problem. Sorry, the company say we have this problem and we would like to solve it. So when you write a proposal, the proposal will be short and concise, and it will target this problem specifically. So it is not short. And normally the public funding is much more competitive because everyone applies. However, if there is a fund from a certain company, for example, ADNOC, only people who are working in chemistry or petroleum aspects, they will apply for this fund. So it's like specific to the discipline. Or if there is a fund from Etisalat, only people who are working on IT or telecommunication or electrical engineers will apply for this fund. So it's more specific. But both of them are regarded highly prestigious, and both of them are external funding. So, when you apply for a fund, normally you apply for a money, like a real money, cash. This is the normal thing to apply for money. So you can spend the money on the research. However, you can also write a grant proposal to secure other things. For example, a fellowship. Like in many countries, if you would like to work as a postdoc in a university, normally they will ask you to write a proposal. And this proposal, you explain your idea, you explain how good you are to tackle the problem in the proposal. So it's called a proposal for a fellowship. So it's normally people who have a PhD and they would like to work as a postdoc in a university. Sometimes they are asked to apply for a university fellowship. So in this way, you will work for the university, you will be independent. So you will not work as a normal postdoc, which normally work under a professor. So this one is also highly prestigious. I think most universities in Australia or in United States have these schemes, the fellowship proposal. And in other cases, you can write a proposal to access a facility. In our university, for example, we have a high performance computer. And before you use this facility, you need to write a proposal. And this proposal, of course, again, you explain the idea, you explain how your system is capable of to be executed in the high performance computer. And in some cases there is a very big machine. This machine is very busy, like in situ XRD, or like it depends on what's your discipline. So sometimes before they allow you to use this instrument, they ask you to write a short proposal, like what's your problem, what is the innovation, how you're gonna use the instruments, what are the safety or the risk aspect of using the instrument before they allow you to use the instrument. So other funds also are specific for the equipment. You just want to buy an equipment. So sometimes university asks you to write a proposal. In this proposal, you advocate or you make a case to buy this particular equipment. Of course, you need to explain how many persons will use this equipment, how this equipment will be helpful to enhance the research reputation of the institution, and many other things. And finally, you could also write a proposal to attend a conference. So this is like a travel grant. So, for example, the department say we can only fund 5 conferences this year. So it's not open to everyone, for example. So they ask people to apply to write a proposal for a travel. So what's the conclusion here? You can apply for, you can write a grant, not only for a real cash or real money. You could apply for a fellowship to access facilities or equipment or to attend a conference. So now, how to find an opportunity for a fund? This is the most critical part. So if it is a public fund, normally the research office and the university will announce these funding opportunities for everyone. They will say that we have a fund from Ministry of Education. So these are the guidelines and this is the deadline. So public funding is normally announced by the research office. So for public fund is straightforward. Like everyone knows that there is a public funding, and people then are encouraged to apply for it given a certain deadline. However, when it comes to private funding, it's a bit tricky. So there are some procedures that you can implement or follow to enhance your chances of securing a fund from a company. For example, if you know someone in the research and development department in the company, you could talk to them directly of your idea, or if you are aware that they have a problem in this certain aspect, you could propose that you might have the solution to solve this problem if they fund your project. So normally the funding in big private companies are so normally it is articulated by the research and development department. So in many countries, there are websites. So this website, for example, if a company has a fund, this company announced the fund through this website. So you will register your interest through the website. You will enter some keywords, for example, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, IT, medical, whatever your discipline. So you enter those keywords. And when an opportunity arises in this website, it will send you an alert email. It will alert you that there is a funding opportunity that may match your interest. However, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think we have such website in the United Arab Emirates. I don't think we have it. Well, I mean, of course, if you'd like to apply for external funding, you need to be based on an institution. So the company will not give you the money if you are just a normal citizen. So you have to be based in a university to do the job. So this, I think, is very obvious. Okay, I think what normally people know, like how normally people know if there is a fund, a private company, normally they are dedicated websites. Otherwise, you need to talk to the research and development department directly. So to do so, there is a certain procedure. So this procedure, like you need to write a letter of intent to the company. So you need, in this letter, you will explain your qualification, your achievements, so you will So in this letter, you explain that you need to make sure that you have explained yourself very well in the letter, and you know the business of the company very well, and that you are aware of the problems that this company might face in general. For example, if there is a petroleum refinery, like this is my field, for example, if there's a petroleum refinery, I will know that they might have a problem in sulfur emission, for example. So I could approach them based on this ground. Like if you are doing a vet, you could, well, I'm not sure, but this something has to be related to your discipline. Like in mechanical engineering, if you know a company that produces plastics for thermochemical applications, you could approach them based on the fact that you might be able to manufacture a new material that can sustain a high temperature under high pressure. So these are the things that those companies might be normally looking at. So you need to know the business of the company very well. So make sure that they know that you know everything they do, and that you are not randomly shopping around for a fund. So don't look so desperate for the money. So try to be like professional when you approach them. And of course, you have to do your own research. And like if you approach a company for a fund, normally try to ask for a modest fund. Like if you don't need to ask for a very big amount of money, because if the company doesn't know you well, they will be very hesitant to grant you a huge amount of money. So just ask the basic thing to prove an idea. So once you demonstrated ethics, cost effective grant management, that you have produced a patent for them, or you have a published paper with them, then they might trust you if you ask for a larger amount in the future request. Like as a PhD student, what normally happens, your professor would know the company. So you are just following him in the steps, in the path. So your professor normally will introduce you to the company. So this is normally the procedure. So like in private company, everything depends on the personal communications, that face-to-face meetings or phone calls. So they need to trust you in a way to give you the money. And this trust is built on a previous experience of someone who might recommended you to do the job in some cases. But in business, like everything depends on the personal relations, like at the end of the day. So it's different from the public funding. So if you want to prepare a letter of intent to the company, there are, what do you need? So in this letter of intent, you need to explain your interest in the projects and what your organization is doing. For example, you could say that the civil engineering department at the United Arab Emirates University is very well equipped and has been doing research in these areas. So you need to demonstrate qualifications for yourself and for your department and for the university as a whole. I mean, of course, sometimes if you write a letter of intent to the company, if you send it by email to the person in charge of the research and development, try to attach some supporting documents like publications or the abstract of your CV or a patent that you have participated or even your transcript. So you need to attach some supporting documents that will strengthen your case. And of course, it always helps to explain your university structure of administration, the finance, and any other supporting document that might help. This is called the letter of intent. Like there are certain format of the letter of intent. So if you are interested, you can email me and I can send you some samples of those letter of intent. So this letter of intent has to be written professionally, like to talk to the mind and to the heart of the person who will receive it. And of course, since it is a business, it is strongly recommended that you build a relationship with any potential private funder. So what's the protocol in private business? You need to establish a kind of communication before you approach them, because before you approach them, you just sound a stranger for them. So they will not fund you, of course. Okay, this is how we know about the funding opportunity to summarize, if it's a public funding, the research office will announce it to everyone. But sometimes the research office also announce funding from companies, like if they are very big companies, like Etihad or Emirates or Etisalat or DIWA or Road and Transport Authority. Otherwise, you have to do your own research and you have to think outside the box. You know, sometimes the company have a certain budget dedicated to support research. So they already have the fund. It is already in their budget and they are just looking for someone to grab this opportunity. So if you have the time, if you are motivated enough, you can do it and try your luck. Okay, so this is the pathway for writing a grant. First of all, you need to have an idea, and then you make the contact if it's a private company. Then you write the proposal. Like if you are applying through the university, normally you are not applying straight away. Like so what happens? You submit the proposal to the research office. The research office will check the proposal for formatting or guidelines or other things. For example, in the proposal, you could say that I will work full time for the company. I will work full time for on this project, and then the university will say no. You have other commitments. So first of all, you need to obtain the university approval of the proposal, and this might go through like a technical committee to check the typos or to check the format if everything is okay. And then you submit the proposal. So after you submit the proposal, if it's approved, then that's what you want. You do the research. After you do the research, you publish the result. So this is the end of the grant, is to publish a result or to write a patent or to secure a patent. However, if it's declined, which is also likely, like if the proposal is declined, they will give you a comment. And next year, you can try your best to address this comment and submit the proposal, the same proposal again for the same funder, or otherwise you could have a new idea and submit a new proposal on a new idea. So before you start writing the proposal, you need to make sure that you have an idea or a problem to address or to investigate. So the idea or the problem is what makes the proposal. So a research proposal is mainly judged or evaluated based on the strength of the idea. So like in every idea, so in every proposal, there could be one central idea, but around it there are small ideas that sound like support this central idea. For example, your idea is to manufacture a new material that could be used for organ implantation, like to put it inside our bodies. So this is your idea, but it has to be more detailed than this. Or for example, your idea is to reduce the risk of fire in this material or anything. So the strength of the proposal is mainly judged or evaluated based on the central idea. So also it's very important to have multiple ideas around your central idea. So if the reviewer or the funding agency doesn't like your central idea, make sure that you have small ideas around it. But everything has to be in the same theme, of things. So it is the idea that you are looking for. Well, now, before you apply, you are applying for a funder. Let's see that you have found a potential funding organization that might give you the money. So there is an important initial checklist that you have to tick, either yes or no. So you can ask yourself, is my organization eligible to apply? For example, you have, like we are in United Arab Emirates, and you have a company in Saudi Arabia. Well, the first thing, this company in Saudi Arabia might have some restriction. They might just give the money for someone working in a local university. So it's very important to check if your organization is eligible to apply. Then you need to check when is the deadline, if you can meet it. If you find there is a call for a proposal next week and you cannot make it, then that's it. It's end of the game. And you can also make sure that they will give you at least 50% of the money that you are looking for in order to kickstart the project. So you are looking at least for 50% of the project's budget. For example, instead of having 2 PhD students working, you can live with 1 PhD student. But if they refuse to give you, like if the fund is not enough to pay the salary of even 1 PhD student, then I would not even bother to apply. So sometimes there is a geographic restriction. For example, funding from ADIC, which is Abu Dhabi Department for Knowledge and Education, is only restricted to university in Abu Dhabi Emirates. So if you are in Dubai, like if you work in a university in Dubai, you will not be eligible to apply for this fund. And there are many things. So before you apply, check if you are eligible. Like if everything is okay, then you can look for the idea. So this is the most important part, I think, is how to get the idea. Well, there are certain hints that you can follow, and the most important one is to read the latest research in top journal. So by doing this, you are riding the waves. So someone has done the thinking for you. Like if someone published in Nature Chemistry, of course he has a brilliant idea to publish a paper in Nature Chemistry or in Cancer or in Cell or other like a very high impact journal, like 1%. It has to be in the top 1% or 5% at least. So if you read those articles, they will give you an idea of what's going on at the high level. So what's happened when they publish a paper? Normally someone publish a paper in Nature or in Science. So this is the idea. Then after the publication of this paper, everyone tried to follow him, to do something similar to it, or to simulate what he has done, what those people in this paper done. So by doing this, you are riding the waves of the recent ideas in your field. Like if you don't have an idea at all, and if you'd like to apply for a proposal, then this is a good place to start. But this might not be enough. What you can do, like if you read a review paper, in the review paper, in the last section, normally they have suggestions for future research. And in this section, they give free ideas for research. So you could read this section and see if some of the idea might apply to you and how you're going to implement it. Well, another option is that you have the proposal, the funded proposal from the last year. So you read them carefully and you will have an impression or a guidance of what those people might be interested in to apply. So here you will have a general thoughts of what those people might fund. So at least you have a basic idea. Other things, you could attend conferences. So normally when you attend a conference, normally people talk about what they're gonna do in the near future, not what they have done. So if you know someone important, he explains what he's trying to do in the near future, then you can sort of, I'm not saying steal his idea, but try to think of something similar to his idea or extension to his idea. Well, other things, your professor or your supervisor might have some ideas. You need to polish those ideas. You need to improve them. You need to work on them. You could discuss the ideas with other students or with other professors in the department. And if you think this idea might work and you have the time, you have the facility, you have the materials, you can test it. You can do some preliminary work. And this, if you write the proposal later, you can write those preliminary work in your proposal to strengthen it, to say that you have carried out some testing, you have tested the water. You know it will work, but you need additional funding to complete it, for example. And what other things? You can look closely what are the real problems for example, this industry is facing. For example, if you are working in desalination, everyone knows that in desalination, what the process is very energy intensive. It requires huge amount of energy to produce 1 cubic meter of fresh water. So if you have an idea how to reduce this energy consumption, then you can write a proposal around it, for example. But when you have an idea, make sure it has a local context, so you can sell it in the proposal, because you are writing the proposal in the country. So if your idea is, for example, is based on South Africa, then of course you will not be able to sell it locally. Like in Malaysia, if they have a problem in the oil recovery from palm oil, and of course here we don't have palm oil, so no one will fund your proposal. So the idea has to have at least some local context, because when you write the proposal, there is an important section, it's called benefit to the community or benefit to the country. So you need to explain this part very well. Okay, now having found an idea worthy of a grant writing and a potential, now let's assume that you have the idea and you have a potential funding organization. So now you can ready to write the proposal, but don't start writing the proposal before you have the idea or if before you locate the funding. So don't start writing the proposal and say, while I am writing, I will find the idea or the idea will come up to my mind. Because when you find the idea, you need to polish it. You need to read literature to make sure it's doable, it's feasible, and like it is catching the wave, like not someone has else done it a long time ago. So so it's all very important when you write the grant. Don't imply in any way that I am writing this grant to be successful in my career or to secure money to do a research. Of course, this is your aim, but what the sponsor wants, the sponsor wants to solve a problem. So when you write a grant, make sure the grants are meant to make the sponsor successful in his career, not you. So the sponsor doesn't care who you are. I mean, the sponsor wants to solve a problem, and that's why you are applying for a fund. So the grant is all about the sponsor, not about you. So this is a very important thing when you write the grant. I mean, of course, when you write the grant, you write it for yourself, but this is also another tricky part. Okay, so if there is a call for a proposal, normally there are some guidelines, and it's very important to read those guidelines very carefully. So normally I read the guidelines 4 times. I read it for the first time to see if I am eligible to apply or not. If I am not eligible, then I would stop doing it. Like I would be wasting my time to continue. So the next thing, you look for how many number of grants they might award and what is the range of the grant they award. For example, if you are looking for a project with 100,000K and this company will only grant 10,000K. So this is out of the range that you are looking for. So you might not be applying after all. So the third time, look for the formatting issues, because it's very important when you read the guidelines to record the format. So different funders have different formats in terms of the page limit, to the margin, to the font types, sizes, how many figures, how many tables. This is all is mentioned in the guidelines. So when you read the call for a proposal, read and note these important items very well. So in the final one, you check for the peer review criteria, like if they are available. So what are those peer review criteria? It could be the quality of the project, the quality of the investigator, or the feasibility or the research environments. I'll explain them more in details next. But well, this is what I normally do when I read the guidelines. I read it for if I'm eligible to apply, what is the amount and how many grant is awarded. For example, the company could say we'll only award one project, and you know that many people will be applying, and so this may deter you from applying. So you would say, why would I apply if I may not get it, for example? But nonetheless, I would apply anyway. So what constitutes a fundable proposal? What makes the proposal funded? Well, most of all, it's something that will excite the reviewer, because when you write a proposal, someone will read it. It's a reviewer. So this reviewer is expert in the field. He will be a professor in a university, or he will be like a professional engineer, has been in the business for a long time. So you like to excite him. So you write something that might excite the reviewer. Well, something innovative, feasible to implement in the given time frame. I mean, of course, you would like, when you propose something that you can do within a year or 2 years or 3 years. So something that should be implemented in a relatively short period of time. And above all, something that meets the agency priorities area. For example, if the agency is looking to solve a problem in energy, don't write a proposal in water, for example, or in IT. So it has to meet the agency priority area. Well, I mean, just speaking is easy to speak, but it might be difficult to implement it when you write a proposal. But these are the most important aspects to remember, to know what could be a fundable proposal. So what is the main, what you can do before you start writing a proposal? You can ask the research office for copies of previously funded proposal. So you could see the style or their ideas or what approaches they have put forward to implement. But well, these are the general guidelines, at least. So, okay, so here we do the fun parts. So when you write a proposal, the length of the proposal depends on the guidelines of the company. But like normal proposals are from 5 to 10 pages long, or it could be from 5 to 15 in general. But what you should focus on, first of all, is the first page of the proposal. So reviewers are normally very, very busy people. So if I write a proposal, if I find the first page very boring, many mistakes, many typos, many like if it's not written very well, I would not bother to read the rest of the proposal. So this first page is the face of the proposal. So it states the goal, the aim, and the benefits to the reader. So make sure this is written very well. This is the most important part of the proposal. So also say what you want to do right in the first page. Say that I will implement this to solve this problem by this approach. So you define the problem, you define your approach, and in the first page, in the first or the second paragraph. So then don't wait till the third page or the fifth page to say what you want. So and the first page should not include a lengthy literature review. This is very boring. So just say what you're gonna do, and this is how meet the requirements. So many writers find it useful. So what normally happens, you could write the objectives, the research plan, and then you could start writing the first page. So many people start from the end, like they finish the proposal, so they have the ideas very well fermented in their brain, and then they write it in the first page. So normally you write a first draft of the first page, then you continue writing the proposal, and after you finish the entire proposal, you come back to the first page. So the first page should look shiny, like impressive, attractive. Well, of course, I mean, if you have a call for proposal, you will have keywords in the guidelines. For example, they would like to have innovative solution for like in transport. So try to use those keywords in the public announcement for proposal. So this reviewer will know that you are trying to match their funded criteria. So both of you will be on the same page. So this should be exactly in the first page. Well, I mean, of course, always states the objective simply upfront. So don't assume the reviewer will think what's your intention. So don't let him like judge or contemplate what you might be doing. Just say it like clearly and upfront. I mean, of course, when you write a proposal, you are not writing a journal paper. So it has to be a persuasive writing. So you are trying to speak to the mind of the reviewers. And I think writing the proposal, so it's like an art. So when you write your first proposal, you will start get to the rhyme, how a good proposal should look like. So writing a proposal is different from a journal. If you write a journal, you write the introduction, you write the methodology, you write the result, discussion, then conclusion. So we know the structure very well when we write a journal paper. But when it comes to writing a proposal for external fund, we have to follow a certain format. Like if a proposal is rejected for external fund, one of the main reasons that it does not follow the correct format. Well, this is the format of the proposal. Like every sponsor may have a different format, but these are the common sections that you may need to master or to write very well. We have the title page, we have the abstract, we have the objective, we have the significance, we have the search plan, facilities, what do you have to do the work, we have the personnel, and we have the budgets. We have two types of costs, direct and indirect, and we have an appendix sometimes, and the CV from everyone. So this is the general format, but it may differ from one funder to another one. But I think all these sections are very important. All of them are very important. And if a reviewer attacks your proposal, most likely he will attack it based on the objectives and the aim, based on the significance. And this is in general, like if the reviewer is not expert in your field, mainly he will just look for the objective and the aim and the benefit. So if you write a proposal, it doesn't always happen to end up with an expert in your field. So it could go to someone else. And this someone else would most likely focus on the objectives and the aim to see if they make sense, if they provide a benefit to the community, to the university. However, if he's expert in your field, most likely he will try to criticize your research plan because he knows how the job is done. And you should not do a mistake in this section in the research plan. Okay, and well, writing a proposal at the end of the day is selling an idea. So there are some striking similarities between the sales and the proposal. So in the sales, you have something special to offer. You have apple, you have fruits, you have mango, and in the proposal, you are selling the importance or the significance of your idea, the application of your idea. So if you'd like to buy a fruit, you buy it on the first impression. Like if you're buying a house, you just look how the house looks from the outside. If it looks nice from the outside, you go inside to have a look, right? This is the same thing goes for the proposal. So in the proposal, in the first page, you have the aims, you have the objectives, you have the idea, you have the hypothesis. So those will give the first impression in the proposal comes in the first page. So it have to be nicely written. Like, of course, I mean, if you buy a car from a dealer, you will look for the review, like how people review this car online or in another platform. Like in writing a proposal, you have preliminary idea. You have a publication to support or something else. Also, if you like to sell something, you convey an understandable message. You will say like, this bank will give a loan with this much of profit. So this is the message in the sale. In the proposal, you sell it in the abstract. So the abstract is meant for a person outside the field, like a normal citizen, someone in the street. So someone in the street is expected to understand your abstract. So when you write it, don't make it very complicated. So you are not writing the abstract for scientists. You are writing it for a normal person. For example, I'm a chemical engineer. If I write abstract for a proposal, I write it for someone in civil engineer to understand it, like basic terminology. Anyway, these are also when you start writing the proposal, keep two things in mind while you are writing. The first one is the criteria. If there is a call for a proposal, sometimes they will announce, they will evaluate your proposal based on these criteria. Like the investigator will have, like it's similar when you do a project in your units. There are some key remarks or how your instructor will mark your project. So have this in front of you to focus on them. Also, when you write the proposal, make sure that you inject some international collaboration because the reviewer always happy to see this word. That, for example, you will collaborate with this professor in China or in Germany or France. So always, like if you are in biology, try to make the proposal multidisciplinary. Like this proposal will work, in this proposal will work with someone in physics or engineering or IT. So they also look for a multidisciplinary team because nowadays science has no boundaries. Like people from different disciplines can work together to find a solution. Also, you should have a proposed management plan. Anyway, we'll come to this later if time allows. Okay, well, these are, when you write the proposal, these are the common messages or the common comments that a reviewer might write to reject your proposal. So regardless of where the proposal comes from biology, from engineering, from IT, from business, from administration, from education, those statements could reject any proposal. So for example, so before you write the proposal, make sure to avoid the reviewer or to prevent the reviewer from saying these words. For example, the problem statement is too global. I cannot understand what the problem is. So try to make your problem clear in the first page. Also, don't try to investigate something that has already been investigated before. So the reviewer could say, this problem has been studied to death. I am surprised that the writer doesn't know this. So this is very embarrassing to have a comment like this. So make sure your project to be novel, to have some novel aspects somehow. Also, one of the soft target that the reviewer attack, it is the cost of the project. So the cost of the project could be either inflated or could be under budgeted. For example, if you just would like, if your project is all about to test the value of pH in water, you only need 10,000 dirham to do, for example. But if you ask for $500,000, no one will believe you. So the cost of the project has to match the research methodology and how you're gonna do it. So this is one of the comment. So also, if you submit a proposal just by your own, most likely it will not be funded because writing a proposal is all about collaboration. So there should be more than one investigator in the proposal. And if you say that I will collaborate with this person, try not to make it artificial. So don't say I will collaborate with a professor in the United States that you do not know at all, that you have not talked with him, or you do not have. Normally, what's the proof? It is either a joint publication or he was your co-supervisor. So somehow you know him or your supervisor know him. So this articulated collaboration, I mean, should not be artificial or just made up. So it has to be, you have to show the reviewer it is a real collaboration somehow. Sometimes one of the comments should be the project is too ambitious. For example, in your proposal, you could say that I will find a medicine that will cure all kinds of cancer. Of course, no one will believe you. So this is too ambitious. Well, I think from my experience, the proposal I had, were rejected for this one. It's either the cost of the project doesn't match the reality or the project is too ambitious. So when you write a proposal, try to reduce the tone. Like don't make it too ambitious because those reviewers are experts. So you cannot fool them by making claims that you cannot prove. So it has to be realistic. Well, when you write a proposal, keep those general ideas in this slide in front of you and try as much as you can to avoid them. Well, also, if you happen to review a proposal and if you are too busy to read it and you would like just to reject it, just copy 2 of those sentences and it will reject the proposal straight away. Well, I'm not saying that you do that, but this is one of the trick. Okay, well, let's start off writing the proposal. I think we don't have much time, but I'll try to speed up. Well, we start with the writing of the title of the proposal. So the title of the proposal should tell the idea. So the title of the proposal, it has to be informative. It has to tell the idea of the proposal. It has to be attention grabbing. You have to include some buzzwords in it, like a novel or next generation or any one of these buzzwords that will grab the attention. So try to make the title of the proposal maximum 10 words. Like if it's, don't make it a sentence. It's just a title. So well, try to make it understandable if you can by non-technical people, like people outside the field. Well, these are some titles of funded proposal in many fields. For example, in energy, a funded proposal was room temperature sodium sulfur batteries for large scale. So this is the buzzword. It's like room temperature, because experts know this process may not happen at room temperature. So you are selling them this idea. So what about the buzzword in the first one? The buzzword is novel, something new. In this one, it's new or next generation. So when you choose a title, make sure that there is an attention-grabbing phrase or at least a word, one word in the title of the proposal. Okay, so now we go to the abstract. So the abstract, it is actually one page limited. So it has to tell the whole story of the proposal. So if you'd like to condense or to summarize the whole proposal in one page, it is the abstract. So what you need to remember that your abstract will be inspected by two sets of people. So when you write the abstract, make sure it appeals to both groups. So it's a reviewer within the funding agency, and those most likely will not be experts in your field. So they will have a degree in accounting. So those people who are working on the funding agency, I mean, for example, they could be mechanical engineer, and your proposal is all about biology, for example. But those people who are working on the funding, they will be smart enough to know if the proposal makes sense or not, just by reading the abstract. So you don't need to be on the same field to sense, or at least to have an impression if this is a good abstract or not. Well, the other group, it is the experts, which is normally, those are the peer reviewers from outside. When you write a proposal, it will be received by the research office. If it looks okay, the research office will send it to the funding organization. This funding organization will look at the proposal and see if it meets the guidelines and the requirements. But they will not be the one who will read it and mark it or rank it. They will send it to outside reviewers, like reviewers in other universities. And those are experts. So your abstract should also be readable or should appeal to expert people as such. Well, like in most cases, some reviewers may not read the whole proposal, but definitely they will read the abstract. It is given in the first page. So, of course they will read it. So what's normally the procedure? Finish writing the whole proposal and then write the abstract. So it's similar when you write a research paper, right? When you write a research paper, you leave the abstract to the end. You don't write the abstract up front. When you finish writing the paper, you know your results, you discuss them, you know their importance in the context of literature, then you write the abstract. So it is the same story with the proposal. Okay, so when you write the abstract, it is normally one page. So if it exceeds 2 pages, the funding organization may reject the whole proposal based that you have exceeded the page limit. Okay, this is an example of a good abstract. So I think it's important to analyze it, to have the anatomy of the abstract. So you have the title. So in a good abstract, this will be read by someone in the funding organization. This will be this is not the first page. It is like a cover page. It is a cover page. So the first sentence should state the aim, the overall aim of the project clearly. And next 2 to 3 sentences should present the novel aspects of the proposal. And in the fourth sentence, say what are the specific outcomes, and this is the specific outcome and the deliverables, like what your project will deliver. And finally, you should speak like globally, like what is the benefit to end users, like what is the benefit for someone in the street, for someone in a shopping mall, what can we get from your proposal? Because you are writing, if you get a fund from a government, so the main aim is to benefit the community, to benefit the people. So the last sentence should target end users and community. I think if you stick to this, anatomy, I'm sure you'll have a good abstract. So it is the aim, then what's new in your abstract, and then what are the outcomes in general, and finally, what is the benefit to the community? So I think abstracts would, most likely the abstracts would be half a page only, not more than that. It's half a page written clearly with this heading. So before you write a proposal, make sure you have these 4 items in your abstract. I think in your abstract, okay? Another funding organization asks you to write the abstract in this format. So abstract, it is a summary of the proposal. You specify the aims, you specify the significance of the proposal, and then the expected outcomes. This is a proposal I wrote. So the aim, for example, to determine the origin of initiation reaction that will cause fire in those materials. So what is the significance? We will provide a fundamental understanding of those reactions. And what is the outcomes? We developed a new technology. So the outcome is something that can be implemented, that we can measure. So in the abstracts, don't write generic statement. So don't make it not clear. So don't write generic statement or a literature review. For example, if you are working on like artificial intelligence, don't define artificial intelligence in the abstract. No one, like it will sound silly and boring, because people who will fund your project in artificial intelligence know what artificial intelligence are. So they would like more in-depth analysis or insights, what your project is. And so what's a good strategy? If you struggle to write the abstract, try to extract critical sentences from the different parts of the proposal, then somehow combine them or mix them together to make a cohesive, a consistent abstract. So in abstract, you copy that it is a summary for the whole proposal, so it has to be nicely presented. Okay, so here we come to the first page of the proposal. In the first page of the proposal, you state the objective, the aim, and this has to be clear of technical jargon. Like it depends on your discipline. Like when I'm a chemical engineer, for example, we use plug flow reactor. So like I wouldn't say a plug flow reactor in the first page. So like try to make it like as general as possible, because in a case that it will not be read by an expert in your field. So say your objectives and aim, clearly avoid technical jargon as much as you can. Try to use either an active or passive voice and stick to one of them. So don't use both in the same paragraph. Well, I mean, so normally I just use the active voice. For example, I would say figure 1 presents. I wouldn't say data are presented in figure 1, because if you use the active voice, you inject a life into the statement. You try to grab the attention of the reviewer. So like the passive voice, something happened in the past. So normally people recommend to use the active voice. For example, you could say our methodology uses, or don't say that this methodology will be used, something like this. So stick to the active voice if you can. So when you try to develop your aims, make sure they match what the funder wants you to do. So write it in line or in accordance to what the funding organization wants. So here you have to think outside the box to come with the aims that will match the funding initiatives. Okay. Here, like from my experience, failure to distinguish between aims and objectives is normally a soft target for a reviewer to attack your proposal. So the reviewer could say that this proposal doesn't distinguish between the aims and the objectives. So they are totally different. If your aim is to write a good proposal, make sure that you distinguish between the aims and the objectives. So first of all, when you write the aims, it is something connected. It is something connected with what the funder wants. For example, the main aim from the fund is to reduce water consumption in agricultural activity. So this is your aim. So it is not the objective. So what your objective will be for example, to invent a new device that will reduce water consumption. So objective is something we can measure, we can test. So however, the aim is not measurable. The aim is something general. So objective should be part of the aim. So what's the objective? The objective is simply a checkpoint. For example, if you aim to reduce emission from pollutants, from biomass consumption, what's your objective? This is the general aim, is to reduce emission. So what is the objective? The objective, you have one piece of biomass and you test it. So objective is like writing a paper, or doing an action. So it is something that you can measure. So when you write the objective, they have to be specific, they have to be attainable, they have to be realistic, they have to be time bound. So they call it SMART objectives. Well, this is the word. They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So these are the objective. So normally every aim has objective. It is not the other way around. So when you write, let's assume that you have two aims in your proposal, two general aims. So the aim is something that the funding organization would like you to do. This is the aim. The objective, it is how you achieve this aim, how you fulfill the aim. So these are the objectives. For example, I have aim 1. To achieve aim 1, I have 3 objectives. For example, to test this material, to go to the lab, or to do experiment, or to do a survey. Now, for each objective, there is an outcome. This outcome will serve to see if you have met the objective or not. So when you write the proposal, you write it, this is my aim, this is first aim, and this is how I am going to test if I have fulfilled the aim or not. So this is like if you write your first page, so your first page of the proposal, which is normally called aims and significance, should have this clearly presented. So you need to remember that outcomes serve the objective and the objective serve the aim. It's like a tree. You have outcome, then objective, and at the end you have the aim. Well, when you write the aim, always use a verb. Like it has to be a short sentence with a verb. Then you explain it further. So if you are unsure which verb to use, you can start with provide. Then you can change provide into develop, plan, educate, create, build, and so forth. So these are examples of the aim. So what's the overall aim? For example, is to develop an obesity awareness campaign targeting university students. This is the aim, is to make university students aware of the obesity, of the problem of the obesity. Now, how you're going to implement it? This is the objectives. This is how you implement it. So, for example, you do a questionnaire, or you ask them to prepare food and using this recipe, and then the outcome, you'll see what happened after you implement it. Well, another aim, for example, is to construct a more effective hazard alarm approach. So you need to use a verb and then a short sentence. This will make the aim. So this is the aim. So the aim has to be action oriented. It has to start with a verb. Well, when you write the aim, don't give any time frame or a timeline, or don't include how you're gonna test the aim. This will be explained in the objective later. Well, when you write the first page of the proposal, you have the introductory paragraph. So what the reviewers will do, he will read the introductory paragraph first. So it has to give him a good impression of an exciting proposal to read. So don't make it boring. So spend a day or two or a week even to write the introductory paragraph. So the introductory paragraph should start with a shocking sentence, like what is the problem? So this will make, this will grab the attention of the reviewer that there is a real problem. In the first sentence, this is the shock or the hook, then you say what is known to solve the problem and what is missing, what is the gap in our knowledge. In the second paragraph, you introduce the aim, what has been done to fill in the gap. In the second paragraph, you introduce your aims, like what you are planning to do to fill in this gap. So every sentence has to reflect the previous one. Then you will say, what are you going to do, how and where? So these are the objectives. And also you have to have a well-focused, strong hypothesis. We are running out of time, so I wouldn't be able to cover this in details, but I assume you will have access to this presentation. So this is an example of an introductory paragraph. This is the hook. This is where you explain the problem. So in the first sentence, you tell the problem. This is the problem that we are facing, for example. For example, the problem could be like e-waste are accumulating at an alarming rate in the United Arab Emirates. This is the real problem. This is the real problem. Or for example, there is an elevated concentration of this pollutant in this area. This is the problem. Like in the first sentence, you stated the problem. Then you say what is known about the problem, and then what is missing, what we do not know, and then you say what we should know about the problem. This goes in the first sentence, in the first paragraph. So in the second paragraph, you present your aims, your objectives, your hypotheses, and at the end you say what we will get if we implement my approach or the approach I am presenting in this proposal. So you present the aim, you present the objectives. I mean, there could be different format. And then you explain why are you following this procedure or this objective, and what is your hypothesis based on what? Like, how come you are presenting this? What is your evidence, or why do you think it will work? And then you give them the carrot. You say if you fund my proposal, this is what we will get. I think if you write a proposal, I would assume. I highly encourage you to follow this format in the first page. If you write your first page in this format, I think it might increase your chance, because this is what a good reviewer is looking for in a proposal. So he will not say, like, by doing so, you will avoid those negative comments that I have explained in the previous slides. which is I cannot distinguish between aims and objective. Here you have clearly distinguished between them. Well, also in the first page, you need to present your hypothesis. Hypothesis mean, why do you think your solution will work, and based on what? What is your evidence that your suggested solution will work? This evidence could be based on your previous result, or from result in the literature, or from your preliminary data that you have just tested, in the lab. Also, when you advocate for, when you present your hypothesis, also try to explain that you have a previous experience in related hypotheses in the past. So what's most important, like in the third paragraph, you introduce the hypothesis, what's my central hypothesis, and how you are going to test this hypothesis. So to test this hypothesis, for example, you will run a survey, you will have a questionnaire, or you will do this certain experiment, or you will have this class activity. This is how you're gonna test this hypothesis. For example, you could say that my hypothesis is that the performance of math student in year 4 is weak because they were not educated for this section of the topic, for example. And then you will assume that I will teach the student this topic in details before they can go to the next one. And then so you propose the hypothesis, and then you explain how you're going to test the hypothesis. I mean, of course, I mean, at the end of the, when you write, when you explain the significance of the proposal, always state what are the benefits outside the academia. So if you say in the proposal that I will publish a paper, my plan is to publish a paper in ranked top 1%, of course this is good, but this is not the outcome. This is an outcome, but it is not a significance indicator. Like what would a person in the street or in a shopping mall will get if you publish a paper ranked top 1%? This is not will serve him, it will serve your career. So in the significance, make sure that you give the reviewer something about the benefit outside academia, something not a paper, not attending a conference, not a publication, something the government can implement, or the municipality or the engineering profession can implement. Well, I mean, of course, when you write the proposal, they will give you what are the national research priorities, or what are the priorities of the company. So always try to link it with your aims and objectives. For example, if the national priority is to have a clean environment, try to link your aim with this mission, with the general mission, which is a clean environment, for example. Well, most importantly, when you summarize the benefits, make sure it will have a benefit for the community and benefit for the scientific community, the nation, and the mankind in general. Okay, so these are some helpful tips. If you write the proposal, try to choose words with a positive impression, always, like in every part of the proposal. For example, exciting, new, original, opportunity, important, interesting, advanced, innovative, improved, and so on. So don't use those words. We'll give yes or no, the tentative stand. Like might, hope. Of course, we hope that this will work, but this is not the correct word to use in a proposal, like hope, or could, or perhaps, or possibly, or may, because the reviewer say you are not certain. So why should I give you money? Just to test, just to see if it will work or not. So don't use those words. Also, try to be specific. So don't make it general. Like if you say certain aspects. So most of the reviewers will say what are those certain aspects or some properties or improved understanding. He will ask you to explain what is this, and by then it will be too late. So because he will have already rejected the proposal. So try to be specific and use a word with a positive, because those reviewers, after all, are humans. They have feelings, they have emotions. So like if you give them a bad impression, and since they do not know you, they might not fund your proposal. So try to use those positive words and try to avoid the tentative and the general or the uncertain descriptive of words. Okay, so I'll try to, we'll only have 10 minutes. So the research plan is where the expert criticize your work. So as I said, the significance, the first page, the benefits could be written by a person outside your field. For example, I am chemical engineer. I could judge those sections for someone in chemistry or biology or IT or someone. Those are general items, so anyone can read them. But when it comes to the research plan, it is all people in the field always would like to criticize them. So make sure when you write your research plan, there is no mistake. So here there is a zero tolerance. If you make an obvious mistakes in the research plan, then it's end of the game. They will not fund you if you make simple mistakes. For example, if you say this device will give me a value of this certain property, however, the reviewer will know that this doesn't work this way. You need to use another device. So the reviewer would say he doesn't know what he's doing or what she's doing. Well, when you write the research plan, don't make it simple. Don't say that I will just measure the temperature by using this. This is very simple. So why should I give you money? So don't make it sound simple. Inject some sophistication in your planned techniques. So try to make it novel in a certain way. You could say this device has never been used before to test this material. However, we think it will work based on this and this. So try to make it sophisticated. And when you write so this section is normally very lengthy. It's like 5 to 10 pages. So you have plenty of space to write all the details. I mean, of course, when you write the plan, try to make sure they are realistic and don't make inflated promises. So don't say that I will invent a medicine that will cure everything or anything like any inflated promise. Well, I mean, of course, your aim is not to describe the method. This is already known. For example, if you write a proposal in chemistry, don't explain how the GCMS work. People know how it works. But what you need to explain how this will work for your sample, for your project, for your case in general, and how you're going to do it. I mean, of course, the research plan is discipline oriented. So you have to make sure that you are up to date with the research plan in your discipline. And if you are not following a standard methodology in your field, you need to justify it. So as I said before, a simple mistake in this section may result in a straight rejection of your proposal. So here we have a zero tolerance. Well, I will skip this very quickly. Like if you are doing a survey, for example, if your discipline is business, administration, whatever, normally people are doing survey researcher. So you need to make sure that you cover all the aspects of doing survey. If you are doing experiment, it's the same thing. You need to be as detailed, as specific as possible. So you need to give all the details, how you're going to do it. Also, when you write the aims, when you write the research plan, always try to summarize everything in a figure. So a figure tells more than 1,000 words. So try to combine the objectives, the plans, the aims in a colorful figure. Normally, when you publish a paper, most of the journals now ask you to write a graphical abstract. This graphical abstract tells the whole idea of the paper, and normally the editor and the reviewers would like to see colorful picture. So at the end of your research plan, try to come up with a colorful figure that summarizes the whole idea. So this will give impression to the reviewer that you have worked out your procedure and you have linked the plan with the aim. So normally it's similar to what you are doing in your PhD. You have a Gantt chart. So this Gantt chart, it gives you a timeline for the project. For example, in year 1, I will implement this, in year 2, and so on. So this should be part of the research plan. Also, when you explain the role of the professor, when you say that 4 people, like 4 professors will work on the project, you need to say what each professor will say, what each professor will do. in the project. So don't make it don't make it unclear or general. So state clearly what he's going to do, which aim, which objective, and how he's going to do it, and what is his contribution. So when you introduce yourself or a professor or someone else in the proposal, you need to say why he's capable of doing this based on his previous experience. For example, Professor Mahmoud has made distinguished contribution to the field of artificial intelligence. He published highly citable papers. So if the reviewers read a statement like this, he would know that those people are capable of doing what they are promising in this proposal. Well, also try to be specific. For example, you could say, like, what is the role of the PhD student? So normally a reviewer would not prefer like a PhD student in the early career to be in charge of the project itself. So normally what's written, like, guided by Professor X, PhD scholar will carry out the necessary statistical analysis in reference to aim 2. So link the person with the aim and with the mentor. So the professor serves as the mentor. Well, normally you could also have the aims in a table. For example, this is the team. This is Professor 1, this is Professor 2, this is PhD 1, PhD 2, 3. And those are my aims. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 aims. And this is the contribution. For example, the contribution of PhD 1 is major in aim 1 and it's minor in aim 6. So it also helps in the proposal. Also in the proposal, highlight previous collaboration between the investigator. You could say that co-authorship of 3 papers and joint PhD supervision testify to our collaborative effect. So the reviewer would know this is a real collaboration. It is not just a made up to write a proposal. Also, you need to, like, if you are collaborating from someone from outside, like a professor from another country, you need to mention his credential, like why he is part of the proposal. For example, you could say we will collaborate with this professor from this university because his H factor is very high. So this also gives a strength to the proposal. But most importantly, if you have worked with him, you could say it. Like, we have co-authored 2 manuscripts. So it is always a good idea to have international collaboration in the proposal. Okay, so when you write a proposal, you would explain in one part of the proposal what do you have already. So the funding organization will assume that you have something in place. They will not fund you from scratch to build a lab. You have something. So you could say that we have world-class facilities. We have this and this and this in our lab, but we need this to do the project. So mention what you already have and highlight its importance. Okay, I only have 5 minutes, or 2 minutes. So for the communication of the result, you need to say how many papers you would publish and where you're gonna publish those papers.
Doctor, I'm sorry for interrupting. It's okay if you take a few extra minutes. The meeting will not automatically close. So if you need a few extra minutes, it's okay. Take your time.
Okay, so when we write a proposal, sometimes we need to give something back to the community. So it is not all about publishing a paper or writing a patent. For example, if you work on, well, I always give examples from my field, which is pollution combustion, but you could also come up with example in your field or discipline. Like your result, you could try to explain the significance of your result in school visits or outreach announcements to professional, or even in Twitter or in Facebook. So you need to get the message out to the community in a format other than papers, like something else other than paper, because it's public funding. So for the public funding, everyone should benefit. This is the general message. Like, everyone should be happy that you have the money and you spend it wisely, and you have some implemented ideas that people can benefit from. Well, this is done by some public funds mandate that result be available without restrictions. So when you write the proposal, you can ask for money to cover publication fees. So you go for open access because for you need to go for open access choice rather than, like most of the journals now offer two options, either open access or restriction. So if it's publicly funded, then it is always recommended to go for an open access. So what is another approach? You could have the personal copy of the approved manuscript. So it is not the PDF file provided by the journal. It is the latest copy. It's your latest copy. You can upload it in your ResearchGate or Google Scholar, or even a personal page. You need also to have a data management, like how you're gonna run the project. If you are supervising someone, you need to explain how often and how you're meeting him. Another important part, it is the budget. So the budget contains many sections. It is the salary. The salary should be in line with the salary scale of your institution. So if your institution say that the PhD salary is 7,000 dirham a month, then the salary that you are asking in the project should match the salary that the university is given based on the salary scale. You could also ask for equipment. If you ask for equipment, make sure that you know roughly what is the cost of the equipment based on initial quotation. So because those experts know the range of the prices of those equipment, and try to ask for the equipment in the first year. If you are asking for travel to attend a conference, mention who's going to travel and to which conference. You could ask for consumables, software. You need also to add your salary to the project. For example, you are not working free for the university. For example, in the proposal, you will say that 20% of my time will go to the proposal. So this 20% of my time should reflect 20% of your salary. So this is cost paid by your university, by your institution. So this is cash. But you will not ask for the funding organization because your university is already paying you. So this is called a direct cost. There is also another cost, it's called in kind. So what's in kind? For example, I'm working in the university, I'm using internet, I have health insurance, I have library services. All these cost money. So this also should be part of the cost to the proposal. So this is normally correspond to 0.2 times your annual salary. If your annual salary is 100,000, then this is additional cost the university is paying me to do the job, to participate in the project. Well, this is an example of the budget, how the budget should look like. You have the cash. This is how much cash you are asking the funding organization. And then you have the cash from your institution, which is, for example, if I am working 0.3% of my time to the project, then this is 0.3 times my salary. This is, for example, health insurance or other things, or library services or any other things. Sometimes the university will say, if you have a fund from an external sponsor for a PhD, I'll give you another PhD scholarship. So this is cash contribution from your institution. Well, we also have a budget justification. You should explain in details why do you need this fund. For example, this PhD student will do this. I need the equipment to do this. I need the equipment to do the experiment. This is where I will travel, and so on. Well, when you write the references, make sure they are up to date and don't cite any reference older than 5 years, never. So all your references have to be new, at least in the last 5 years. Well, when you finish writing, you also need a short CV. These are the items of your CV. You need to mention your education, your professional, your H index, awards, grants, patents, other things. Well, most importantly, you are not done. When you finish writing the proposal, go back, modify the abstract, try to improve the first page, which is the aims and the significance. Try to give it to one of your colleagues to comment, to suggest, or ask your professor or your mentor to read it, or ask someone who has already been funded by this organization to read your proposal to give you to give you some feedback, some comments. Well, these are final check. Make sure there are no typos. Your pages are numbered. There are no grammatical mistakes. That you follow the guidelines when it comes to the font size, and send the proposal early to the research office. They might help you in proofreading. And you could also ask the research office for copies of recently funded proposals so you can follow their formats. Well, unfortunately, the proposal is not always successful. So I think the chance is 20%. So if you are not funded, don't get upset, don't get disappointed. You are not alone. You can apply next year. And normally your chances are twice to get the proposal if you submit it again. Well, these are references for additional resources if you would like more. Anyway, if you would like a copy of successful proposal, I am more than happy to send you. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad, for your time and for the valuable information. This meeting was recorded, so if anyone wants to refer to the meeting again, we will upload it on our YouTube channel. I think a lot of people asked in the chat about the presentation, so it will be recorded with the explanation and everything. You can refer to it, and we can also send a copy to Dr. Muhammad. Also, please, if you logged in with another ID than the UAU ID, please send me your ID in the chat to just put you in the attendance, because some people log in with the Gmail or the Hotmail accounts. So thank you one more time, Dr. Muhammad, and hope to see you soon, inshallah.
Thank you.
One question. Dr. Muhammad, can we have, thank you for excellent presentation. Can we have this presentation?
Sure. If you send me an email, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. So nice of you. Indeed, it was excellent presentation.
Thank you. I think it was a bit lengthy. I didn't. The time should have been longer, but it's fine. If I send you the slide, I'm sure you will read all the information.
Thank
you. Thank you so much.
Doctor, do you have any time for questions or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So does anyone have any question for Dr. Muhammad? I think someone has.
Yes, I have raised my hand. Doctor, thank you very much for the informative session. We have prepared one research proposal for my PhD. I am on full fellowship package. So can we submit that proposal for some external grant?
Yes, why not? Yeah.
And exactly that same idea, or should we modify it?
Well, I mean, try to make it a little bit different, because when you submit for external grant, they will ask you what funded proposal you already have.
Sure, Doctor. Doctor, one more question regarding this. And for example, my research idea is does require a lot of equipment in the field of IT and computer vision. So should we target just one single external grant for the same year, or if we are desperate, so we can apply for multiple one with slight
I think it's a better strategy to apply for multiple one. I think the maximum external funding you might go, I think it's 800K.
So it's with the same idea.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if the budget is enough, you can apply. You can request as many as equipment possible, if they are fit in the budget.
Sure, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Anyone else? Any questions? Please raise your hand. We'll just have like few minutes. We don't want to. Or you can type in the chat if you wish to. Okay, I think we don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you
Thank you,
more time.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Assalamu.